Karen's sneer could curdle milk from a block away. She waddled down Elm Street, her HOA badge glinting like a dictator's medal, ready to ruin someone's day again. It was a crisp Tuesday evening in the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where the only thing louder than the cicadas was Karen's self-righteous indignation. She'd been the HOA president for 3 years, a reign marked by petty fines, nosy inspections, and a vendetta against anyone who dared to breathe without her approval. Her latest target? My trash cans. Apparently, their unsightly placement by the curb where trash cans belong offended her delicate sensibilities. So, she did what any reasonable person wouldn't. She hid them. I'm Jake, a single dad who moved to Willow Creek for a fresh start after a rough divorce. My daughter, Lily, 7 years old and obsessed with drawing rainbows, deserved a peaceful home. Instead, we got Karen. I'd been warned about her by neighbors' whispers of her clipboard tyranny and her habit of measuring lawns with a ruler. But I didn't expect her to escalate from petty notes to outright theft. It started innocently enough. A yellow slip under my door last month. Trash cans must be stored out of sight within 24 hours of collection. Fair enough. I moved them behind the garage, even though it was a hassle to drag them out every Monday. But Karen wasn't satisfied. She'd patrol the neighborhood in her golf cart, her beady eyes scanning for infractions. Last week, she cornered me while I was watering my petunias. Jake, your cans were visible for 3 hours post-pickup, she said, her chins quivering with glee. That's a $50 fine. I bit my tongue, paid it, and thought that was the end. It wasn't. Monday night, I rolled my bins to the curb as usual. Tuesday morning, they were gone. Not tipped over, not misplaced gone. I checked the alley, the neighbor's yard, even the ditch by the park. Nothing. Lily, bless her, thought it was a game. Maybe a trash can fairy took them. Daddy, she giggled, sketching a winged bin in her notebook. I forced a smile, but inside, I was fuming. Those bins cost $80 each, and I wasn't exactly swimming in cash. By Wednesday, rumors swirled. Mrs. Patel, the kind retiree across the street, saw Karen's golf cart lingering near my house at dawn. She was poking around your bins, Jake, she whispered over her rose bushes. Looked mighty suspicious. I thanked her and decided to investigate. I knocked on doors, asking neighbors if they'd seen anything. Most shrugged, but young Tommy from 2 houses down spilled the beans. Yeah, I saw her drag your cans behind the community shed, he said, popping a bubble with his gum. She was muttering about teaching you a lesson. The community shed. Of course. It was Karen's fortress of power, where she stored her arsenal of citation pads and passive-aggressive newsletters. I marched over, Lily skipping beside me, oblivious to my rising anger. The shed was locked, but through a grimy window, I spotted my bins, shoved between rusty rakes and paint cans. A sticky note on one read, "Property of Jake Miller confiscated for noncompliance." Confiscated? This wasn't a parking ticket. This was my property. I called the HOA office, hoping to reason with someone. Anyone but Karen answered. Jake, you violated Regulation 4.2.1, she snapped, her voice dripping with condescension. Those bins are an eyesore. Consider this a warning. A warning? She'd stolen my stuff. I tried to stay calm. Karen, you can't just take my bins. That's theft. She laughed a grating, hyena-like cackle. Theft? Oh, honey, I'm the HOA and the law around here. That was the moment I snapped. Not in a yelling, fist-shaking way, but in a quiet, determined one. Karen thought she was untouchable, but I wasn't about to let her bully me or anyone else anymore. I hung up, grabbed my phone, and called the non-emergency police line. Yes, officer, I'd like to report a theft, I said, keeping my voice steady. My trash cans were taken from my property, and I know who did it. Officer Ramirez arrived within the hour, a no-nonsense guy with a notepad and a skeptical squint. I explained everything, showed him Tommy's statement, scribbled on a napkin, but it counted, and led him to the shed. Karen, predictably, showed up mid-conversation, her golf cart screeching to a halt. What's this about? She demanded, her face redder than the stop sign she'd once fined me for leaning too far into the street. Ma'am, We're investigating a report of stolen property, Ramirez said, his tone neutral but firm. Karen's eyes widened, then narrowed. Stolen? That's absurd. I'm the HOA president. I relocated those bins for aesthetic purposes. She gestured at me like I was a stray dog. This man's been a problem since he moved here. I clenched my fists but kept quiet. Ramirez wasn't buying it. Relocated without permission? That's theft, ma'am. Let's see the bins. Karen fumbled with her keys, muttering about ungrateful residents, and opened the shed. There they were, me bins, still sporting her smug little note. Ramirez raised an eyebrow. You wrote this? Karen stammered. Well, yes, but it's not what you think. It was exactly what he thought. Ramirez explained that taking someone's property, even with HOA authority, was illegal without due process. Karen's face crumpled as he read her rights, her bravado melting into panic. You can't arrest me. I'm protecting the neighborhood, she shrieked, as if hiding trash cans was a noble crusade. The neighbors, now gathered like moths to a flame, whispered and pointed. Mrs. Patel shook her head. Tommy snapped a photo, probably for his Snapchat story. As Ramirez cuffed Karen and led her to the patrol car, she shot me a venomous glare. You'll regret this, Jake, she hissed. I didn't. For the first time in months, I felt like Willow Creek might actually be home. Lily tugged my sleeve, holding up her sketchbook. She'd drawn Karen in her golf cart, a cartoonish villain with a speech bubble. I steal bins. I laughed, ruffling her hair. That's my girl. The fallout was swift. The HOA board, humiliated by Karen's arrest, held an emergency meeting. Turns out, her relocations weren't limited to my bins. She'd confiscated Mr. Nguyen's garden gnome, Mrs. Patel's wind chimes, and even Tommy's skateboard, all under the guise of community standards. The board voted her out unanimously, and the police charged her with petty theft and trespassing. She faced a fine and community service, ironic, given her obsession with rules. Word spread fast. By Friday, HOA Karen was the talk of Willow Creek. Someone taped a sign to the community shed, Karen's reign of terror, over. I heard she tried to appeal her charges, claiming HOA immunity, but the judge wasn't amused. Last I checked, she was picking up litter on the highway, her neon vest a far cry from her beloved badge. For me, it wasn't just about the bins. It was about standing up to someone who thought power meant control, not responsibility. Karen's downfall reminded us all that no one's above accountability, not even the queen of clipboards. Lily still talks about the trash can fairy, but now it's a story of justice, not theft. And every Monday, when I roll my bins to the curb, I smile, knowing they're right where they belong. The end.